Roblox has made several horrible updates and changes that have literally destroyed the platform forever, and today I'm going to break down 10 of the worst Roblox updates ever made. Also please subscribe, let's get into it. And let's firstly start with the very recent update that's destroying Roblox in front of our eyes right now, that being public UGC. So if you aren't aware of somehow, before UGC was like an invite only program, and it was very hard to get into and you have to apply and stuff. But now they made it so if your ID and age verified, anyone can upload items now, which is obviously a massive disaster, and this has caused so much problems in the community, and it's one of the worst changes that I've seen. And not to mention, before public UGC even came out, rules and moderation just kind of gave up, it seems like. The UGC program was a complete mess, so obviously, if it's already a mess being invite only, it's only become 10 times worse if it's, open to the public, and that's exactly what happened. There's been so much garbage uploaded, so much inappropriate items uploaded, inappropriate references, copyright items, fake limiteds, and it's been a complete mess. Like right now, you can probably get your Dream Rolls item as a ripoff for super cheap, Dominuses, Valkyries, whatever, because there's literally no moderation going on. And like I mentioned, there's a ton of inappropriate items as well that people are using in bad ways. And not only does this update, ruin the Rolls catalog and make it a complete mess, but they also literally ruined a lot of other stuff with this. They killed for UGC, they made the fees so much more expensive, and as a whole, they actually ruined a lot of people's jobs and livelihoods. Some people literally made a living uploading UGC items, but now because of all the garbage being uploaded and the insane fees, people literally can't do it anymore, and people literally lost their jobs over this, which is pretty insane. And to make it worse, Rolls has literally done nothing about it, and it seems like they're kind of ignoring the situation. But with that, our next update and change that Rolls did was one of the worst that we've seen, being sponsored events. This all started around near the pandemic time of 2020, and it just kept on getting worse every year. 2020 they did a bunch of sponsored events, 2021 they did a bunch, and then 2022 was the craziest one. They did over like 70 sponsored events. It was insane. Literally constantly just dropping garbage after garbage. Random concerts, random collabs that did nothing. It was an overall mess. And not only was it bad that Rolls was doing all these cash grabs and sponsored events, but this also marked the end of traditional events. Now to be fair, this doesn't have a good ending because I'm sure we're all aware, Rolls kind of brought back events this year, but this was a very dark period for Roblox and it kind of damaged the events and reputation, forever. And even though Rolls is back to traditional events now, because of all these sponsorships they did in the past, so much companies are joining Roblox just by themselves, making, weird collabs and stuff like that. This was an absolutely insane period for Roblox and one of their worst decisions probably ever. And speaking of which, their next interesting decision is their next update being 17 and up games. With Rolls' age verification thing, they also introduced 17 and up games, which they state, content is only suitable for ages 17 and up, may contain strong violence, heavy realistic blood, moderate crude humor, romantic themes, unplayable gambling content, strong language, and the presence of alcohol. So even though some of those things are actually fine and kind of cool for 17 up games, the whole romantic thing was kind of weird. And in general, this decision from 17 up games just seems kind of useless. When it first launched, obviously no one was making 17 up games, but now there's been a few, time. There are a lot of games out there, but they don't even do that good. Like the most successful one averages like 1,000 players, and beyond that, the games aren't even that popular, and they seem kind of useless for the platform. And not to mention, the whole dating aspect of it just seems kind of weird from Roblox, because if you guys remember, it's not only just that, they also said that they want people to meet in these games and literally form relationships. They said it themselves, which is super weird and really bad from Roblox. And speaking of weird and useless updates, next we have Roblox Connect, a calling feature on Roblox. Once again, who uses this update? I don't think I've ever heard anyone in my entire life say, yo, I'm gonna call you on Roblox. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why Roblox thought this was a good idea, or what their vision was for this, but it clearly didn't work out. If you guys aren't aware, Roblox Connect is a feature that allows you to basically FaceTime people on Roblox, and you guys talk with your Roblox avatars. And with dynamic faces and stuff like that, it tracks your movements of your face, and it looks like you're actually talking through your Roblox avatar. Like I said, basically just FaceTime by Roblox. And in general, it's a very weird and useless update. I feel like no one even uses this. People do use it, but I feel like most people use it as a joke rather than actually using it for a useful purpose. I don't think anyone's seriously calling people on Roblox, People obviously just use actual, phones to call people and FaceTime. It's just a very dumb feature. And obviously there is concern about this update once again. Even though I think you have to be age 13 and up, a lot of people are saying if someone friends someone and they're super old, trying to go after minors and stuff like that, it opens up another problem. Just a dumb feature overall. And speaking of dumb stuff that Roblox did, next we have one of the most controversial Roblox updates ever made, being the audio update, which actually changed Roblox and Roblox games forever, where they basically made it so, audio is longer than 6 seconds, so most audios are going to be privated, and games can no longer use public audios and stuff like that. It's a super controversial update, and so much games had to change their music, and a lot of music in general was not available anymore. And one of the most controversial Roblox updates because it destroyed, all the audio and a bunch of audio. Not to mention, a lot of classic games that can't be updated anymore was ruined now because the audios were muted. It was a massive update that literally destroyed the platform. Now to be fair, I think there was some talks recently of it potentially coming back in a different form, public audio, and there are some talks of also boomboxes coming back in a weird way, but this did affect Roblox like crazy, and the damage had already been done. And speaking of audios and stuff like that, another thing that came of this was the iconic oof sound being removed. Another pretty awful Roblox update. Now to be fair, saying this destroyed Roblox is kind of a stretch, I can't even lie, but in the sense of like, it definitely was one of the most controversial Roblox updates, and even though it technically didn't do anything, it was a horrible move and decision. But also to be fair, as I'm sure you guys are aware, it technically wasn't Roblox's fault, because I think they were sued and stuff like that, but it still was an iconic, removal, and this change was pretty controversial in the community, because not only was it bad that they removed the oof sound, but what they replaced it with was pure garbage. Like the new oof sound sounds like a baby like dying, I don't know, it's just super weird. And it's a very controversial update and change on Roblox. And while we're talking about classic changes and stuff like that, I should also mention one of the most controversial Roblox updates, just in general, being the removal of ticks. If you guys aren't aware, a few years ago, or actually like a while ago now, Roblox removed the iconic currency being ticks. Back in the day on the platform, there's two currencies, Robux as we all know, and ticks. And Robux was basically how it always was, you can buy it and stuff like that, but ticks was actually a free currency. And you got ticks by logging on every day, people playing your game, and some other stuff. So it was very good and a very loved feature because free players who couldn't spend money could still get their dream items if you just logged on every day. And people who wanted to pay had the option. It wasn't forced that you had to pay. And most items had an option if you want to pay with Robux or pay with ticks. It was a very cool feature, but obviously Roblox removed it. And it was very controversial, and even after all these years, people were still begging Roblox to bring it back because a free alternative was just really nice. Now to be fair, the reason Roblox removed it was just because it was very easy to exploit ticks. Like I'm pretty sure people just bought at games since you got ticks for every time someone played your game, and it's very easy to manipulate it and ruin the economy and stuff like that. So I understand why Roblox removed it, but it was very good to have a free alternative because a lot of people just can't spend money. But obviously with Roblox, going down the money hungry route after all these years, we're definitely not going to see it come back anytime soon. And speaking of money and stuff like that, our next feature is a recent one, being Roblox making plugins paid now. Recently Roblox made it so that if you want to add a plugin to make it paid, instead of costing Robux, it has to cost real money. You can no longer buy plugins for Robux. Now to be fair, free plugins are still a thing, but most of the best plugins are usually behind a Robux paywall, which is normal, People didn't mind paying a few Robux for their favorite plugin. But now, it can't be Robux, it has to cost actual money. And not only just that, but I'm pretty sure Roblox said they want to introduce this on other aspects of the Creator Hub, which is super weird, and a lot of people hate this update, because a lot of people can't afford to spend money on the platform. Because also with that being said, this also ended up making a lot of the stuff more expensive, just because the money compared to Robux is just not close at all. Another money hungry and kind of weird update from Roblox that a lot of people didn't like at all. And speaking of money hungry changes, next we have a pretty bad update, and one of the worst ones we've seen in a while. And once again, this is an update that's affecting all of us right now as we speak, it being the dynamic price floor update. Now when uploading items, creators will see what the price floor is for an item, and to make it worse, that price floor is dynamic. If you're confused what this means, basically the price floor is the minimum an item can cost. So for example, if a price floor of a hat is 10 Robux, no creator can make their hat cheaper than 10 Robux, which sounds fine, but Roblox actually made it dynamic, meaning that it's constantly adjusting based on demand and stuff like that. So let's say the price floor of a hat is 10 Robux, but a lot of people start buying hats in general, like the general category of hats. Roblox senses the demand and raises the price floor of all of them, so now all hats became more expensive because the cheapest price floor is now raised. And because of this, it made everything way more expensive, and it's constantly getting more expensive due to all the demand. And public UGC probably made this worse too because there's more items now. And not only was this update bad because everything's getting more expensive now, but this also caused a lot of stuff that used to be free, now paid. For example, one of the most controversial ones being packages. You used to be able to get free packages, but now they're paid, and a bunch more stuff just got way more expensive and can no longer be free. A horrible update from Roblox that a lot of people hate. And you guys probably see this all the time. A lot of people complaining on Twitter every day or every week just saying, why is this more expensive now? And why is the price so high? And that's because of dynamic price floor. Everything's just going to keep adjusting and getting more expensive, and it's a super annoying update. And one of the best examples of this is a Crimson Shaggy 2.0, a classic and iconic Roblox hat. And it's iconic because it was super cheap. Before, you can get this item for 2 Robux. That's it. It cost 2 Robux. But now, this item costs 85 Robux, which is insane, and that's all because of this new update. 2 Robux to 85 Robux. A stupid money hungry update from Roblox that's destroying the platform, and a lot of people just can't afford to get stuff anymore because it's so expensive. And with that being said, kind of last thing being this, the iconic dev forum post where Roblox said, experiences using marketless items policy update, which seems weird and harmless, but this was the update that basically said that if anyone has UGC stuff in game that they want to try on and stuff like that, they're forced to have a pop-up now that users have to buy it. And it seems minor, but literally so much games have this. Every single roleplay game basically has this, some of the biggest games on the platform, catalog avatar creator, games like that. And it's literally ruined all these games and made it super annoying because this pop-up would keep popping up saying if you want to buy the actual item, and it was forced to, creators couldn't even do anything about it. And this update was so controversial and so bad actually that For once, it has a good ending because Rolls didn't go forward with it, but it still stands as one of the most controversial and dumbest Rolls ideas ever. It was super controversial and it was a horrible change from Roblox that luckily didn't go through. And as you can see, Rolls does a lot of changes that literally destroy the platform forever. And even though Rolls didn't go forward with the last one, a lot of times they do, and it ruins the platform for a lot of people. And if you enjoyed, check this video to find out some dead Rolls games, and I'll see you in the next one.